welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to dig into something quite specific, actually. It's from a daily Heavenly Manna entry, July 2nd, and it really zeroes in on just one verse, 1 Corinthians 4.12. Being reviled, we bless. Being persecuted, we suffer it.
Mm-hmm.
So our aim is to unpack what this source says about handling adversity and, maybe more importantly, the kind of deep internal work it suggests is needed.
Right. And what's fascinating here is how it frames this idea of the perfect law of liberty, the law of Christ. The source itself says this law acts as a discerner of the very thoughts and intents of the heart. So we're not just talking about actions. We really want to explore, what does that mean for internal mastery? How does this actually liberate the heart rather than just, telling you what to do?
Okay, so right off the bat, the source hits us with this really sharp distinction. It says, while you must hate all sin, you cannot hate any sinner and yet have the love of God perfected in your heart. That's this.
Well, that's a huge statement, isn't it? It's asking for a fundamental shift away from hating the person, even when what they do is completely wrong. How does it suggest we even start to make that separation? It seems incredibly difficult.
That's exactly it. And that's where this discerner of the heart idea really comes into play. The text seems to suggest perfected isn't about being flawless, It's more about a love that's complete, whole, not blocked by our own internal stuff. It's a process. And when you are reviled or you face persecution, this perfect law, it instantly shows you where the friction is inside. The source is very direct. If even so much as a bitter feeling against our traducers and maligners arise, it is to be fought. And using those strong words, traducers and maligners, it highlights how personal these attacks feel. This isn't about passive acceptance at all. It's presented as an active internal fight. Right. So it's not just, okay, don't hit back. It's saying even feeling that bitterness means you're not quite aligned with this perfected love. Wow. So true alignment, true adherence means winning that inner battle. And it goes further, doesn't it? The goal isn't just fighting the negativity, but achieving so complete a victory over it that, and I'm quoting here, every fiber of our beings will be in sweet accord with what it calls the great teacher's instructions.
Precisely. Sweet accord. It's not just surface level, it's deep internal harmony. A full alignment where your whole self resonates with the teaching. And those instructions are, they're incredibly demanding. Love your enemies, pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, bless and injure not. That's a complete 180 from our typical human reaction, right? The source seems to be pushing us way beyond just tolerating people to actively wanting and doing good for those who are harming us. Suggesting these actions, blessing, praying, they flow from this internal change, not just, forcing yourself to do them.
What's really interesting is how it connects that internal state, that mastery over bitterness, directly to what you do externally, this daily heavenly manna entry. It really pushes you to look inside and think about what freedom from bitterness actually looks like. It frames this whole internal struggle not as some kind of punishment, but as a pathway to, a more liberated state.
Absolutely. There's a powerful link suggested between the inner sweet accord and the outward acts of love and blessing. It's a very holistic view of character. The implication seems to be that real liberty, true freedom, isn't found in just lashing out when you feel wronged. It's found in this deliberate inner victory over those negative impulses, which then allows for a higher kind of response.
Okay, so wrapping things up a bit, we've touched on some powerful ideas here. First, that really key distinction. Hate the sin, absolutely, but never the sinner. Then this idea of an active internal battle needed against even the slightest bitter feeling. It's not passive. And finally, those very clear, very challenging instructions. Love your enemies, pray for them, bless and injure not.
So here's something maybe to leave you thinking about. If the source insists that a complete victory over these bitter feelings is what's needed for every fiber of our beings to be in this sweet accord with those instructions, what does that really tell us about the potential, the truly transformative power these principles could have on your inner world and ultimately on who you become? It suggests a kind of inner work that's constantly evolving,